Hello guys, and welcome back to the Pong tutorial part 3. So far we have created a ball that can bounce off the walls and the paddle, and the paddle can move up and down. If we try it out, we can see that the ball is bouncing and bouncing. Great, I think the next step is to add a goal, so that when the ball is moving outside of the play area, someone will get a score. If it's moved out in the left area, the right player should get a score, and if it's moving out in the right area, then the left player should get a score. Alright, let's start by creating an empty game object and call it goal. This will decide where the goal is sitting. So we set its position and drag it a bit to the left where you want it. I think somewhere around there. Let's say -9. Right, give it a collider, box collider. And we don't want the ball to bounce off this goal, so we want to set this as a trigger and make it a bit smaller, so perhaps 0.4, and then make it a bit taller so that it covers all of the goal area. Around 10 is a good size. Alright, so what we want to achieve is that if the ball gets inside or touches this goal area, then the player on the opposite side should score. So we need some way of associating the goal with corresponding player so that we know whose goal it is. So let's duplicate this to begin with and move it to the other side as well. Goal 2, so that we have 2 goals. And then let's also duplicate the player for now. Alright. Once you do this, you will notice that when you go inside the game, both of the players will move when you go up and down. And there's no problem with that. We will change it later, but for now it's okay. So how should we associate the goal with a player? Let's just do something to begin with and see if it works fine. So let's create a script and call it goal. So inside of the goal script, let's somehow get a reference to our player. Let's make a serialized field and call this private, let's go with string player name, and then, or not string, let's go with the game object, like so. And then if we go and attach the script to the goal, like so, we see that it shows up, and let's drag player 1 to this. So now this goal is associated with this player. Go inside, then inside of onTrigger enter. Remember we changed that collider to be a trigger. So inside here we want to detect if we are triggered by the ball. So if the other object that is colliding with us .get component has the component ball on it, only the ball should have the component ball. If this is true, then we will do a bunch of stuff. For instance, we will score a goal for the opposite player. Goal, opposite player. We will do this later, but so that we can remember. Also, a good plugin is the one called, let's see, to do tree. It shows up here, and once you go inside of it, everything that you have marked to do every comment that you have started with the to-do will show up here so that you can remember it. It's very nice to have, so you remember all of your to-dos. Right, back to business. Alright, let's create a way for us to score a goal. Let's create a game manager to do that. Go inside Unity, create a new script, and call it GameManager. Alright, go inside of the script. Let's quickly start by making the GameManager singleton, so that we only have one instance of it and that it's static. So public static GameManager instance is equal to null. And then on awake, let's check if it's null. If instance is not equal to null, then we will destroy it and return. And if it's not null, then we will get to this part of the code. Then we set instance is equal to this and don't destroy and load instance. And let's rename the instance to be with a capital letter I. There. And this, if you don't know what this means, it's just a simple singleton pattern that makes sure that we only have one game manager active in the scene at all times. If there are duplicates, they will be removed. This is mostly important if you have multiple scenes, which we don't, but anyway, it's good to know how to do this. Alright, let's create a variable to hold the score for each of the players. So private integer player 1 score, that's 0, and then similarly for player 2. And also create a method for the actual scoring. So public void score, and this will take a game object player as a parameter. Okay, let's go back to goal and see what we want to do. If the other player is a ball, or if what is touching us is a ball, then we should score. So now we can write GameManager.instance.score. And what should we send in? Well, we should send in the player whom we are associated with, because that's the simplest. And the one we are associated with is the one who owns the goal, which means the one who isn't getting the score. So let's rename this, because it's not a player name, it's a player, and send him the player. And then the game manager will handle the logic for this. So everything the goal has said is telling the game manager to score. Someone made a score, so get a score. And then we will check here if player. Now we need to compare this somehow to make sure we give the right player a score. So how should we do this? I think the simplest now is to create an instance for each of the player, a reference to each of the players. So serialize field, private game object player 1, and then similar for player 2. And then inside of the score we will compare if player equals to player 1, then we know player 2 scored. So player 2 score plus plus. Else player 1 dot score plus plus. Okay, so we're getting a player. We check if the player is equal to player 1. That means the player that we're getting owns the goal that was scored in, so then we should score the opposite player, and else we should score the player 1. Well, I guess there's nothing left than to test this, so let's go back to Unity and drag the main the game manager inside of the game. I usually attach it to the main camera for small games. Okay, drag player 1 to player 1 slot and the player 2 to player 2 slot. Alright, before testing, make sure every reference is in place. So drag the player 1 to goal 1 and player 2 to goal 2, and also go back inside of the game manager script and actually do a debug.log so that we can follow the result. So player 1 score, player 1 score, and player 2 score. So every time someone scores, we will show the this should be a plus, not a comma. So every time a player scores, we should see the scores being printed out. So let's change the trajectory of the ball to be 1 and -1 and 0, so it goes straight to the left. Then we can try it. Let's bring up the console. So if it hits this goal, then we should see this player get a score, and if it hits this goal, we should see this player get a score. This is player 1 and this is player 2. So let's move the players up. You see, player 2 scored 1, and if we try it again, we should see if the other one also works. Yeah, player 1 scored 1. Perfect. Alright, let's stop here and continue in the next section. Okay, bye bye, see you.